I went to school and did the best I could. I used to sit in class and cry my eyeballs out. The teacher would ask me what was wrong, but I couldn't tell. They'd send me to the nurse's office and I'd wind up in the principal's office only to be sent home with a note. I learned how to tear up many notes, but I was lucky because no one ever found out I'd never given them to Lois. Besides, she was always off into her bull dyking thing, and I was scared to death to take her another note for fear she would surely kill me. She made me go to school with fevers, bad colds, and even the measles. I remember the night I got the measles. I was outside playing with my Sunday school teacher's daughter, and Miss Joyce said I didn't look so well. She told me to come into her house and let her take my temperature. When she pulled the thermometer back out of my mouth, she said, "Honey, you're sick." Then she looked at my face and neck and told me she thought I had the measles. Miss Joyce offered to take me to my house, but I asked her not to because I was afraid of what my sister might do. She took me anyway. She knocked on the door and Lois finally decided to answer. Miss Joyce told her she thought I had the symptoms of the measles, that she had taken my temperature and it had registered at 106 degrees, and that she should take me to the doctor. Boy, what did Miss Joyce do that for? Lois pushed open the screen, pulled me inside by the hair on the top of my head, and told Miss Joyce to mind her own damn business. Then Lois slammed the door in her face. Lois beat me that night to no end. I do believe she beat me for a solid half hour with her hairbrush, then made me go to bed. No dinner, no doctor, no concern, no medicine. During the night, I threw up all over the sheets and bedspread, and each time I did, I got beat, and Lois told me I'd have to sleep in the mess. I was so hot I could feel the heat coming through my body. I thought I was going to catch on fire. By morning, I went into convulsions. Then Lois really got scared, so she hustled me off to the hospital. The doctor did confirm I had the measles, gave me a needle, and wrote a prescription for some medicine. But Lois never got the prescription filled. Believe it or not, that wench, Lois, made me go to school that day. But I didn't stay long because the principal sent me back home with a note, and I couldn't return to school until I was over the measles, especially the fever. The wench, Lois, made me go outside during the day so she could turn her tricks with her woman. I was so hurt deep down inside. I just wanted to scream, but I wasn't tired of living yet, so I did not dare because Lois would surely kill me if I did. I used to look at her sometimes and wonder how one person could be so cruel, cold, uncaring. What did I do to deserve this? If she didn't want me, why didn't she give me away, just as Greta had given me to her? Why didn't she drop me along the roadside or something? Anything had to be better than this. Mac was now back on the scene and coming around in spells. But when he found out what she had become, a bull dyke, his visits ceased after beating her up one last time. A year went by and things remained the same. Lois was doing her thing with anyone she could, but I couldn't figure out why the males paid her money and the females didn't. Everybody by now in the neighborhood knew about my sister and her sexual escapades with other women and the prostitution. My friends' parents mocked me because of it. Their children were no longer allowed to play with me, and I was no longer welcome in their homes. This really hurt me bad. I was outside playing with my friend Erlene one day, and she told me my sister was a whore. I ran away, hid, and cried the rest of the day. Just to think that other people knew what Lois did made me more ashamed than I already was. I decided to go back home, but before going in, I wanted to just sit on the side of the house for a spell. I noticed a white balloon, so I thought, lying on the ground. I picked it up and commenced to blowing into it, but it wouldn't blow up. It had a hole in it and some slimy stuff after I got a good look. So I threw it back down on the ground. Years later, I learned that I had tried to blow up a prophylactic, better known as a rubber. I could have kicked myself for being so naive, but I was really too young to know. I often think about it to this day. Shortly after that, the shock of my life came. It was as though it happened yesterday. I had come home from school, and lo and behold, Mac had reappeared upon the scene. He seemed to be waiting for me when I opened the door. Lois was nowhere to be found. I asked him where she was, and he spoke to me in a very nasty, gruff way and said, "She ain't in my goddamn pocket." I proceeded on into my bedroom to change my clothes, and he came in and told me I had to go with him, so don't bother changing my clothes. He said he had to take me somewhere for Lois. I asked him where, but he told me to shut up and come on. He led me across the ditch, that's where the parking lot was, and into his car. He proceeded to Princess Anne Avenue, back to Church Street, and then made the first turnaround. When I realized it, he was on the freeway going toward what looked to me as the direction to Richmond. I asked him if he was taking me to Lois, but he never opened his mouth. I realized then he was driving very fast, so I gazed at the speedometer to see the needle registered at 90 miles an hour. By now I was getting pretty scared. As he drove on faster and faster, he started talking. He told me that Lois had offered him some money to kill me, but he didn't want the damn money. He also told me something I had already sensed years ago. I was in Lois's way, and the sooner she got rid of me, the better. It was for my own good, he said. I froze, inside and out. I was even scared to breathe. All my blood seemed like it had just drained from my body, and I didn't care, at that moment, whether Max succeeded in killing me or not. Even death, I thought, had to be more rewarding than this cruel, wicked, scared-to-death life I was living with Lois. Mac was still racing. All I could see as we continued was Lois in front of the car. God, I prayed, why had she done this? I tried to reach for the door handle so I could jump out, but Mac had his eyes on my every move and grabbed my hands as he kept driving. I tried to bite, kick, claw, but nothing made him turn loose my hands. The next thing I knew, I heard sirens. I turned around and the police were behind us. I still didn't know whether or not to breathe a sigh of relief, but I was a little relieved because I tried to tell myself the police were coming to my much needed and welcome rescue. Mac let go of my hands and pulled a gun from his glove compartment. I froze again. He had it pointed right at my head. The police kept on coming, and Mac kept on racing. I remember the police pulled out this big loudspeaker bullhorn and warned Mac to stop and pull over. He ignored their warning. They warned again, "You're under arrest." It did them no good. Finally, Mac ran into a telephone pole, and I just knew I was headed through the windshield. When it was safe, I opened the door and ran. Mac fired the gun after me. This nigga was really out of his tree. Crazy. I ran so fast and hard I thought I was already dead and was trying desperately to get my route changed from hell to heaven. When I stopped, I was in an alley. It was dark, and I hid behind the biggest trash can I could find. All the while, I was thinking that if Mac came down that alley looking for me, he'd have no problem hearing my heart, as it was about to beat right through my chest. When I stayed hidden long enough, I ventured out, but that really took some nerve. I was scarier than an alley cat being chased by Tony the Tiger. I made it to the end of the alley on tiptoes, and to my surprise, when I peeked out into the street, Mac was being jacked up by the police. I saw them put the handcuffs on him and take him away in the police car. What was I going to do now? I had nowhere to go this time either. I didn't even know where I was. I knew where I lived, but how was I going to get all the way back to Maple Avenue? I had no money. I thought about hitchhiking, but I was already about to give up, my pounding heart through my chest. What would I have to do to get a ride that far? I was so scared I thought I'd pass right out there in the middle of the alley. It had turned cool and pitch black. I started walking, where I don't know. Finally, I passed a little short lady. She looked at me. I looked back at her more than once. I decided to ask her for help. I ran back and caught up with her. I remember saying to her that I was lost. Oh, how true those words were. And I asked her if she could give me bus fare back to Norfolk. I knew God would surely bless her if she did. She asked me my name, and I did know where I lived. I told her what she wanted to know, and she opened her purse. My heart raced with joy and gave me bus fare. She was a nice lady and even stood with me until the bus came. I kissed her goodbye. It was my way of saying thank you, and I believe she knew how thankful I was. I asked the bus driver to let me know when he got to Maple Avenue, and he assured me he would. I grabbed the seat right behind him. While riding along, I prayed. I prayed so much my brain seemed to be dead. It was frozen too. All I could see was Lois, Mac, the speedometer at 90 miles an hour, and the police. I wondered what would happen to Mac now. Did the police know there was a little girl in the car too? Were they looking for me? I couldn't think straight, and my heart was still about to beat right out of my chest. I wanted to cry out, but I couldn't. I was so scared, I began to think perhaps I had no more tears left. Were my tear glands frozen too? I just don't know. I don't know how in the world I survived that night, or even lived to hear the bus driver yell out, "Maple Avenue, next stop, Maple Avenue, next stop, Maple Avenue, next stop, Maple Avenue, next stop, Maple Avenue, next stop."